It's the Corrado Lark, Corrado Lark, Corrado Lark, Knitcast podcast channel. Yeah. I don't know if I got taller or something, but like, for me to stay in frame in this episode, I have to like keep my head down. Anyways, hi y'all, welcome back to the CorradoLark Knitcast podcast channel. I'm the host of this channel, Corrado Lark. You can find me as Corrado Lark on Instagram and Ravelry, and you can even email me at CorradoLark@gmail.com, and you could even like and subscribe to this channel, but that's at your own discretion. Thanks for joining me again for this next episode. Look at me, I got a haircut. What do you think? Is it good? Is it good? I got it from, I think the barber is Val's, which is around the corner from my apartment. I'm pretty sure they are Russian. It's not. I rolled my R because I'm Italian, so Russian. Anyway, so thanks for joining me. Today's episode is going to be brought to you by a few finished objects, and I'm going to talk about my pattern releases that just happened, and some W.I.P.s, and a little bit about adventures, and then I'm just going to talk about what I think is coming next for me in my life, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So, without further ado, let's start with some of my patterns. This month I released 2 hat patterns. It's just kind of what the progression is of my releases. I went with some hats because I've been doing cowls, and I have more coming up, and I'll talk about that in a little bit too. But the first hat that I released this month was the Twisted Shirsty Hat, which is really cool. It's a cabled hat that I designed with Shirsty Hat designs to begin with. And I really love it because when you look at the fabric, you can see that the cables that I created just twist up the colors. You know what? I wasn't gonna show it again this episode, but I'm gonna show it again this episode. So pause. Where was it? Here? Here? Is this gonna cut together and make it look cool? Probably not. Anyway, so here's the original sample, the Twisted Shirsty Hat. As you can see, it's quite busy, and I love that. I mean, it works really well for what I wanted. I'm super into it. The like pale neon green's really fun. But I was hanging out with my friend Greg when I was getting it. There was a horn. When I was getting it test knitted. I'm here in Astoria, New York. Things are crazy on the streets. It's all like Greeks and Italians talking at each other. If you go down that way, it's like Arab. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of races, and it's great. Melting pot Astoria. Anyway. So I was talking with Greg about this, and he was like, I can't read it, you know, I don't know what's going on. So he ended up giving me this yarn, which I don't think I've shown you. This is Nerd Girl Yarns. It's her, the name, she has a cool name for her bulky. It's in the TARDIS blue colorway. And look at those cables now, and it's pretty much a semi-solid. I wouldn't call this a tonal. It's a beautiful cobalt blue. The TARDIS blue name, if you know, comes from Doctor Who. And what I actually did with this one too is when I released this pattern, or was testing this pattern to begin with, I knit this on 10s and 10.5 US needles. And then I sent it to testers, and my first tester, I was like, try it on 10s because this is a little, the gauge is a little loose, and I know it will pill a little bit, and I like to avoid that because knitting stretches, as y'all probably know. So I tested it on 10, you know, I had a tester just do 10s. She thought it was a little tight, so then I went back to 10.5s in the actual pattern. But I ended up knitting this one on 10s just to see for myself. I had a feeling that I would enjoy it to have that option. In the pattern, you have the option of this one, with one solid brim and a pom-pom. And this is the one with the folded brim. See how much longer that brim is? Wow. Fancy. Fancy sauce. I don't know. Isn't that like a condiment at McDonald's? I don't know. Okay, so here's the TARDIS blue colorway. I'm gonna mess up my beautiful hair. And notice how it fits now like a fitted beanie. Like this one's for you. I was gonna say smells like yarn. Smells like yarn, that's right. Ross. This one's for you, Ross. You'd love this one. It's because it's fitted. It has a little bit of room in the back, but not much. This is to pattern. You know, everything is to the pattern except I used US 10 needles. I have a note about this in the project page. And it's a really, I love the color. So Nerd Girl yarns, y'all. Really good stuff. Both of them are great, but look how much different you get just by that slight alteration. Like this one blows out obviously because it's white, you know, and I have a light. And I've been fighting with the light all day long, y'all. This morning, I had a fight with my Instagram. Not a fight with someone, a fight with me and my Instagram post. Because I will show you what the hat is that I was trying to take a picture of later. And it's neon green, like neon green. And I could not get the true neon green to save my life in a photograph. So, I diverge. There we are, Twisted Shirsty Hat. Really fun. This is a really good one. I love how this fits. It fits really good at 10, but you know, you have your option. Now you know, you could do it either way. Very versatile pattern. Next, so the next hat that I released, which I have shown, is the Double-Strung Hat. Knit up in Asylum Fibers, Errant Aaron, the Strung Out String Thing Studio exclusive colorway, and the Far Far Away colorway. I love the self-striping that this pattern does. It's a Worcester Aran weight held double and single, depending on where in the pattern. That's why you pay for it, to know where. But I released this earlier this week. I had my coworker, Solexis, her name's Alexis, but Solexis on Instagram, wear it, one with me, and we did a little video, which was really fun and cute. Hey, Instagram, look at us in our double-strung hats, y'all. Pattern released today.
Extra slouchy.
Yes, Alexis. Yes, Alexis. And she even, she put it on, she took it off, she was like, that's one of the nicest hats I've ever worn. She was like, it's so soft on my head. I'm like, yep. Thanks, Stephanie from Asylum Fibers, because this yarn is beautiful if you've never used it. So, other notes about this. I was really happy that Stephanie gifted me this yarn to knit a second sample with. That's a really cool thing that she's done for me, and I really am looking forward to doing with a lot of my patterns upcoming. I don't think I'm going to be able to for the next two, but maybe after that I can talk to who I'm working with and be like, maybe we do an alternate color as well, because I think that just shows it off in a totally different light. You know, maybe it's men's and women's, but not really. I think everything's kind of unisex that I do. Sorry, Mom, it's true. Okay, so so basically this was the Far Far Away colorway, which I've been wearing a whole lot because it's just right in my wheelhouse. Stephanie hit the nail on the head there. And I was originally just going to take pictures with this one and release the pattern with this, you know, and then have this one as just like, look at this beautiful hat, like laid on a rock or laid out in the sun. You could wear it, you know, not with me in the picture. But I decided against it. I decided, you know what? Let's do it. Guys wear pink. I don't think it looks bad on me. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I think it looked dang great in this hat, so don't tell me I don't. Don't comment that below. Comment nice things. Basically, so I've been wearing this one too now, just like this. It's really cool. My job at Queen's Cafe there, I get to wear hats every day. Maybe that's why I work there. It's pretty much it. No, it's a really good place. But anyway, I do enjoy that I get to wear a good hat every day, and I kind of like, it's like giving me this like energy to always be knitting hats so that I always have a different hat to wear. It's in my head. No one else notices but me. I mean, they notice that I knit hats and all, but. So anyway, this is the strung out String Studio exclusive colorway. One of my testers, Tracy, who's amazing, actually picked this colorway up because she loved how this one knit, and she was like, I need it. So so if you want it, they have this colorway at String Thing. This one's available on Asylum Fibers website. I know she just did an update, or you can probably find it in stores, anywhere that carries Asylum Fibers, and it is just a super squishy, beautiful beanie with, not to toot my own horn, a very perfect slouch. I think it was Janet Knits, I don't know how to say her Instagram handle. You can find it on my Instagram, but she even posted, she was like, it's the perfect beanie. I was like, yeah, I know. Like earrings. Like one of my Stephen West with like all the crazy like Boy George look. Love him. Okay, next. So that completes my pattern releases. As I've said, I'm gonna have a cowl, which I've previewed on the channel quite a bit. Beyond the 7 cowl will be released next month. And then the month after that will be my shawl, my first shawl pattern release. Both of those are in test knitting now. On the 7 is almost completed test knitting. Pretty much everyone's gotten it done at this point. Who was it? What's her name? The Lone Alpaca. Anyway, The Lone Alpaca, y'all. So she just started a new podcast. So if you go search that, you can find it. She talks about my On the 7 cowl, and she knit an incredible sample in it. I used an Aran MCN in 7th Floor Yarns to knit my sample in the train congestion colorway that they dyed up for me. She used her own yarn that she dyes, which is beautiful, and she held, I think it was a sport and worsted weight. No. I think it was a DK and a fingering, or a DK and a sport weight, to get the gauge that I had, and it came out, I mean, stunning. And I need to ask her what the 2 yarns looked like before she put them together, because together they're like super cool. So check that out. I'll post it on my Instagram once the time comes. If you watch my YouTube channel, you definitely get a little bit of a preview to things that I'll end up showing on my Instagram. So, because I know you really need that. It's really important to your life. Okay, next, FOs. Horrible. Maybe I should do that like this. 1 second. Nothing's happening below the camera. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. FOs. Mitts, y'all. Okay. That's all I needed to do with them. I'm gonna take them off now. So it's almost been 2 weeks since my last podcast. It's like I'm in confession. And I before that, it was Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day. It's a little late to say happy Mother's Day, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Who knows when you're actually watching this video. Okay. So my parents were supposed to come down the weekend after to visit me, but because of weather, they ended up not doing it, because the whole point of them coming was to come see Central Park, other than seeing myself. Was to come see Central Park, because my mom's never seen it, but who wants to go see that in the rain? It doesn't work out. So I think they're gonna come down next weekend, actually. But I spent the week before going, you know what, I wanna knit something for my mom. I'd been saying it for a while for Mother's Day. I was like, let's do it. And I went looking in stores to find yarn that maybe she would like. I couldn't find anything that I was into, just for the purpose that I was looking for. I was like, I was gonna do a hat or, you know, some sort of small accessory. So I ended up going into my stash, and when I went to Stitches United in Connecticut, maybe a month or 2 ago, I went around talking to a lot of the vendors and everything, and one of the vendors was just like, very quickly was like, oh, you're a designer? Here, take this, and like threw some yarn in my bag. And I was like, oh my god, thank you so much, you know, this is so wonderful. Obviously, it's like, and the yarn itself was so incredibly soft. Like, you would think it's an alpaca or something. So fast forward to me stash diving to find something to knit for my mom. So I go grab the yarn, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually perfect. I know she talked about wanting something in this. Let's do it. I look, there's no tag, no information on the yarn itself. I had nothing to go from. Oh god, there was something I was supposed to show you that I didn't bring. Of course I remember it as I'm telling another story. Anyway, so I stashed out, there was no tag on the yarn. I ended up looking at it going, I think it's a worsted weight. I ended up finding a pattern online, you know, searching worsted weight, like mitts, hats. I ended up going with mitts. And I ended up going with Maize by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Y'all probably know it. And I started off by knitting the small, because I was thinking a small adult. It's probably my mom, you know, maybe for a woman, whatever. The small was way too small. So I ended up going to a medium, which definitely worked out. And now again, these are a beautiful cream. Like, the color is stunning. The softness is just everything. The pattern, you know, it's free, so I'll talk a little bit about it. Maybe back here it's a little better. Probably not. So it's just a regular rib, and then pretty much all up the side. You have a regular stockinette thumb, a hole, and a reverse stockinette panel. These are really beautiful. It's a really fun pattern, really easy to memorize. So anyway, I knit the first one super small. And then I knit 3 of them in the 150-gram skein of yarn that I had, which was really cool. But after I knit the first one, I went, okay, I'm gonna knit the second one. I knit the second one, and I finished it all. I was like, oh, this is great, it fits great. Little did I realize, let's see if I can get it, I added an extra stitch when I cast on. So I think it's supposed to be like, I don't even know what the count was. Anyway, I added an extra stitch, and I didn't even realize it throughout the whole pattern. I got to like the reverse stockinette section, and I was like, why is this not lining up with what the pattern is? It's fine. It must be the pattern's fault because it's a free pattern. No, this is Tin Can Knits I'm talking about. They don't mess up like that, right? Not that I know of. Anyway. So when I got to this, you know, I finished, I was like, oh, what is this like run that's going on? I was like, okay, you know what, it's fine, I can mimic it in the second mitt. So I mimicked what I did. I added the extra stitch. I knew what I had done before. I finished the whole pattern, and then I look at it and I go, great. Only problem is now, when you wear one as a right and a left, only one side shows that little run that I have basically, and the other one doesn't have that. So, I mean, you could show that it's like, okay, my right mitt, you know, my left mitt doesn't have it on the front, and my right mitt's going to, and maybe it lets you know you're wearing a right or a left, but the pattern itself is a reversible knit. A reversible mitt. If that made any sense to y'all, I hope so. So basically, they are super soft, really cool. Anyways, so I finished the pattern and I was like, oh my god, I need to find out whose yarn this is, because this yarn is just absolutely stunning, and I thought maybe it had some alpaca in it just because of how soft it is. So that's why I started knitting it on the smaller size, because I knew it would grow. I did a little research into finding whose yarn it was. I asked Sue of Legacy Knits. My brain is not there today, y'all. Sue of Legacy Knits, she knew who it was. She was like, oh, I'll get back to you. You know, she's busy. She's got life, so that's fine. I ended up finding it on the Stitches United website and searching, because I knew this was a company that also did a lot of kits. Because I remember Sue had bought an elephant backpack that you knit from their yarn, which was so adorable, of course. And I ended up finding that it was Morehouse yarns. Morehouse yarns. It's Morehouse Farm, I think. Morehouse Farm. And this yarn's beautiful. I've been in contact with them a little bit since. I think one of my next projects I want to do is design a pair of mitts. I love them. I wear them all the time. Like, so I'm hoping that maybe I could do that with them. I would love it in like a gray, like another natural wool color. If it's cream too, like, I think it works. I'm totally into it. So anyway, these are super soft. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And let's just move on from them. They're really cool. I screwed up, but they're still gonna work. I think because of that extra stitch, actually, they're gonna fit a little better. Like, they're a little tight on me, which is good. You know, they'll probably fit her better. But I do like how it fits with that one extra stitch. So maybe when I design mine, it'll have that extra stitch in there, and I'll play around with that. I'll play around with it. Next. So I've talked quite a bit about my good friend Knitting Bro Doug on this here channel, and we're gonna talk about him again. He has his own yarn dyeing company that he runs online, Knitting Bro, which is great. I've used his yarn, which is wonderful. And right before he started, he released, he started his website and selling yarn. He had designed a hat himself and released a free pattern on Ravelry called the Lehigh Avenue hat, Lehigh Avenue hat. This is the whole section where I'm gonna pronounce things horribly. So there's the Lehigh Avenue hat, and I knit it in Youghiogheny yarns. Youghiogheny yarns. They're both in Pennsylvania, right? Yeah, Doug lives in Pennsylvania. They're from Pennsylvania, and so I went to knit his hat because I was like, you know what? I owe my brother something, so let's just finish a few quick objects for gift knits. So I did it in their DK tweed. The pattern says you can use fingering held double or DK. It's kind of a standard. Look how blown out that gets. As I was saying this morning, I was fighting with taking a picture of this hat because it's very neon green, and you'll get it at certain angles, but how the pattern works, and it's a really fun pattern. It's knit in pearls, the whole thing. So you have your ribbon, and then you have basically what works out to be a reverse stockinette that works up in a zigzag throughout, which I thought was really cool, and like a neon green because it's like a little electric, Maybe a neon yellow would be fun too. Okay. And it's in a tweed, just like he did. He actually used Youghiogheny yarns in the fingering held double, the tweed. So I didn't even know that when I picked up the yarn to knit the hat, which is kind of cool. So anyway, I will say, I knit this hat, I started it 3 times as well. I had a week, y'all. A week of like restarting and redoing a lot of knits. But you learn that way, so that's good. So, this episode's everywhere. Aren't they all? So, I started off knitting this pattern to what he recommended stitch count wise, and it was way too big. So I ended up going down, I think I went down, it was 12 or 14, whatever the pattern works out to that the repeat still works. I went down 1 size to I think 84 stitches for it, and it, even then I was like, I don't know, it looks still a little big to me at first. But it actually works out to be like a perfect, easy fit, slouchy beanie. Like, to a T, what you want. I think you even have enough room to do a folded brim if you want it, if you're into that life, which I generally am not, except for with that one twisted Shirsty Hat. Hey y'all, what's going on? This is better, right? You don't like seeing my eyes. So I ended up going down in stitch count. I stayed with the needle recommendation. It is a little loose, but the yarn itself has a good twist to it, so I don't think it'll pill. And my brother, who I knit it for, has a bigger head than I, so it's probably gonna fit him pretty perfectly. So, Devin, I know you don't really watch this, but you're welcome. Maybe Mom and Dad will tell you, because I know they watch this obsessively. I ended up going with, he also in the pattern has a recommendation for like a regular fit, a slouchy fit, and an extra slouchy fit. I went with the middle slouchy fit, which I think is pretty dang slouchy. I did have enough yarn. If I wanted to go one more repeat, I could have, but I didn't, so here it is. Anyway, neon green, really hard to photograph, like extremely difficult, but such a great color for any guy in your life. Guys love neon green. It's a thing. At least at the moment. I was just talking to Josh Ricks, who's sort of a knitter, like a sort of a knitter, on Instagram, and that's his whole, and his Ravelry page. He's another designer. we had a little chat about neon green actually, and he's like, yeah, I have to like steer away. I'm like, yeah, me too. It's like I could knit in neon green all day long, every day. Like I love the end up product, but like again, when you go to photograph it, it just doesn't photograph super well. So it's really difficult to design in neon green unless you have a very good photographer / camera, which I have a good one, but you know, we're basically just using an iPhone at this point. We're looking into that. No further comments. Okay, so those were my 2 FOs. What'd you think? Did you like them? Comment, subscribe, like, all that stuff. Let me just take a little minute. I'm gonna have a little coffee. Don't you hate condensation? Enough said. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about my 2 WIPs. Let's get that out of camera. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the 2 WIPs I have going on, and that is literally all I have knitting at the moment. Not literally all I have knitting. I have 1 secret project that I can't talk about. Maybe I'll talk about it in the future. I'm not quite sure. Okay. So I'm going to talk about 2 WIPs that I have. One you've seen. I think you've actually seen both. But I have made a little bit of progress on both. Honestly, not as much as I'd like, but I'm getting there. This is my Leading Men Fiber Arts project. It's their new monologue base, which is merino, yak, and silk. And boy, are they pretty. I mean, I still smell it. Sorry, Mom, I'm smelling it again. I'm just gonna keep apologizing to my parents. I guess my podcast is now to my parents. Like, what's that about? So they're really beautiful, super soft, light fingering weight yarns. And I finally have moved on past my first section in the pattern that I've created myself, which took me quite a bit to get past. And I am on to section 2, which is really fun. And I'm really excited about the decision I made to go in these like larger sections. So here it is. This is the Bobby Infinity Scarf. Which is Bobby after Company the Musical. And I'm using intarsia and some fun stitch work. It's all just knit and purls, and then I'm gonna get to this new section, which is lace. Let's see if you can see it. Once it blocks out, you'll definitely be able to see it better. But it's just a really simple lace repeat that is interesting because of the because you're doing the yarn overs, and it's like this repeat, to get this little bump there, it takes 4 rows. To get this, which is like equidistant, like it's about the same width, it's only 1 row, which I really like because that means it moves faster. Which, you know, I love a light fingering and a fingering weight yarn, but they do take quite a bit of time. And after my recent stint with a lot of bulkier things, it's been interesting going back. Anyway, so this is super soft. It's gonna wear a little like this, and then it's gonna loop, and then you can loop, and it's gonna have a lot of loops. The yarn itself is absolutely stunning. I don't think this one's going to get done now for another couple of months, but I'm really trying to work on it as much as I can, and I am trying not to cast anything on extra, which is very difficult for me. And yeah, so it's a really fun project. The finished project's going to be really beautiful. The whole edge, if you notice my edge is a little wah-wah, that's because I'm going to do an applied I-cord with both yarns. So it's going to match the marling, the marled intarsia in the middle. It's going to be on the ends as well. Look how good this is. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's going to be beautiful. Anyway, so there's one of my WIPs. And I'm going to talk about the other. Now, this one I am knitting in, this is Artfill yarns. It's a singles fingering, and this is also singles fingering in Undercover Otter. This one's really beautiful. They're both beautiful, and they work really fun together, you know, and it's for Sherry, who's like my second mother, She actually picked out the undercover otter herself at Vogue Knitting Live this past year. She also picked out another color that I'm saving for myself because it's too nice and I need it. It's got neon green. Okay. So this is, I'm gonna call this, I'm thinking Jayme, Jayme. It's like an inside joke, but it's fine. So this is where I'm at with it. It's brioche, and then this is like a marled lace that I'm playing with throughout. This is the last section that's going to be like marled, marled with like the two colors. I am going to end up center pulling and side pulling and doing some held double that way for more lace sections. And I mean, this is so squishy and soft. It's gonna be beautiful in the end. It's a cowl, obviously. I did debate going back and redoing this marled section. I wasn't super in love with it at first. I'm still questioning it, but with my picture of what it is in the end, it's going to work out. It's going to balance out throughout the rest of the cowl, and you're going to be like, oh, that's really interesting there. But the whole concept of this one is I'm playing with brioche and lace held double, sort of similar to my brioche and marl cowl, which is available on Ravelry. My brioche and marl cowl, which is brioche and garter, but held double. This is going to be, like, I was thinking, my original title was Sherry and Lace, but I think I'm going to switch that up. So that was the concept behind this one. Look at that hair. Get that out of there. So it's super soft, super squishy. It's going to be interestingly reversible. I wonder if I can show you without screwing everything up. Let's try. I already like had to rip back a whole section at one point with this one. It was really cute, but look at how it flips in reverse. The reverse lace stockinette that's happening is everything. Look at that. Really fun, right? Like, I think I like it. I got a phone call. I think I like it better inside out. I think that's what I was saying. Gotta fix the hair. Since it's all nice and pretty now. Okay, so I really like it inside out. The reverse lace is just really cool. It's got a lot of flow to it. Let's see if I can do this. This is always tricky when you like flip something inside out in the round and you're like, did I do it the right way? And then you're sitting there for like 7 hours like, how did that yarn get all the way around like this? Does that happen to y'all? Happens to me. Anyway. So this is really fun. It's actually, this is moving pretty quickly, which is good. I mean, it is a lot of basic brioche in the round, which is always fun. If you haven't done brioche in the round, that's the way to start for sure. It's really easy to do. The second I put this in my hands, I go, I want to knit it because it's really fun to do. And I love a good brioche purl round. It's like, I don't like to purl regularly. I don't know many people that do just like purling, but a brioche purl row, super quick, it's fun. Okay, I'm gonna put this down in about 2 seconds. And honestly, this episode's gonna wrap up pretty quickly, I'm not gonna lie. Just because my adventures were a little light this past couple of weeks. Done. It's not done, it's still a whip. Anyway. So basically, the last couple of weeks, because my parents ended up having to cancel the last weekend, I couldn't really fill a lot of the time there with things to do. So I ended up just working from home or, whatever. And the week before that, I went to Knit Night at Strengthening Studio with, hosted by Shamika. Shamika is Mika Shop on Instagram. She has her own YouTube channel as well. She's really fun, really cool. I was really happy to go and support and hang out. And there was a little wine, a little brownies, and Cecilia was there, Creative CC on Instagram, just name dropping. It was a really fun night. I never really been to a knit night like that other than my own little group that I had going for a bit, which is a couple of us in the neighborhood. So that was really cool to get to and meet a whole lot of people. be in a yarn store after hours, which is always fun. If you haven't been to String Thing, it's a great store. You should go check it out. Obviously, I love it. I've supported it quite a bit with my hat and all. But I am excited to go try some other Brooklyn yarn stores. I almost went to Brooklyn General last weekend, but I didn't end up making it. I'm thinking I'll probably go this weekend just to go check it out. And I'm looking to have some more yarn adventures this weekend, because last weekend and the last 2 weekends were a little light. And you know I love a good yarn adventure. Like, I love going out and doing that kind of stuff, especially in New York City when there's so much to go see. I am on the lookout. Now, if any of y'all see it or see something or know someone who's a yarn dyer or a yarn company that has that perfect, you might be seeing it kind of everywhere. It's that like marigold, like coppery, that sort of a color. It's like an off yellow, but like a little 70s looking. I really want to knit something in that, and I don't have any of it in my stash, so that's what I'm on the lookout for. So if y'all know someone who wants a designer to design with that color, I'm your guy. Hit me up. That said, I have my cowl on the needles. I have my infinity scarf on the needles. I'm trying not to cast anything on, but I do want to cast on a hat and design a new hat, and I think I have the yarn for that is lined up, and I know what I want to do with it, so maybe I'm going to end up doing that now. It's possible. I shouldn't, but I'm going to. Hats are just so much easier to travel with. That said, I also want to design another shawl. I'm not going to show it today, just because, but it's my volcano shawl, as I'm now calling it, because it's volcano in Italy, volcano in Italian, is being tested right now, and all my testers have been like, yeah, this is good stuff. I'm like, okay, good. I'm into shawls. I'm into like that type of shawl too, that's like not too big. So I'm also thinking I'm gonna look for some yarn to design my next shawl with. I do have a few projects lined up outside of these ones that I am either waiting on yarn, or I may even have the yarn that I'm working with, and so I have a lot of projects coming up. June is going to be really busy. There's 3 different events that I'm doing with Brooklyn Boy Knits. He has his Brooklyn Boy Knit sessions. I think I want to say it's June 2nd, and June 16th is the big picnic that he's doing, as well as like a knit session, and I think I'm going to be singing at that. I don't know what I'm singing, but I'll be singing, so there's that. And then also June 8th is the next Yarnimentary event, where we go into the schools and it's a fiber program in that school system now, which is really cool. So June's going to be really busy. May maybe wasn't the most busy for me in this sort of field, but I made my own work and I'm gonna make it happen. So let's see if there's any other events coming up. Let me know if anyone else is around in New York that has some other things going on. Let me know. I'd love to come to them. Even maybe outside of New York, I'm down to travel a little bit. I know I'm trying to plan a trip up to Providence to go hang out with Jake of Ken Yarn. He's a good friend of mine now, and we've been talking quite a bit, and I'm interested in doing that. So anyone in New York who wants to come with me to do that, let me know. That'd be fun. With that, I think it's going to be a shorter episode today. Thank you for joining me today on the Corrado Lark Knitcast podcast channel. It's been lovely seeing you all, and by seeing you all, I mean staring into a camera, pretending like you're there, even though you're not. Maybe you are? Are you there? What if like everyone who watches your YouTube channel was actually watching in the camera? I think that's just called YouTube Live. Horrible. Okay. I'm gonna sign out there. Great. Okay. Bye.